Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions about your service business and we've got your answers. Today's question comes from Glenn. He wants me to do a little SEO deep dive. Search engine optimization. What is it? What do you need to know about it? What can you leverage? What can you do on your own? And what can you expect to pay? So obviously SEO has been big on my mind as of late as we're going through our new site we released in February and kind of just streamlining everything down, addressing the black hat attack that we suffered a few weeks ago, or back in March we noticed a few weeks ago, and through those disavow links. I'll explain a little of that, but obviously I've been dropping little hints about it throughout the media that we've been creating, and someone finally asked, Joe, help me out. Help me understand what SEO is all about. Having a fundamental understanding of search engine optimization and how pages are put together and how Google and other search engines rank is just good business. Having that general understanding doesn't mean you have to know HTML or HTTP. You don't have to understand cascading style sheets or JavaScript. It's really just knowing how it kind of works and what Google's looking for in general, and knowing enough of the terminology so you're not bullshitted by SEO companies that are out for the money grab. And I've been vocal about the intent of SEO based service companies for a long time, and there's some good ones out there, but the vast majority operate under a kind of a shady premise. And I'll get to that in a second. But just having a fundamental understanding of the basics is good business. It's a good idea, and it's something that I think every business owner should know. So I'm going to give you that basic fundamental understanding here, but I also encourage you to dig deeper. And this doesn't, you don't have to pay some guru to teach you this. This is all available online. Google produces content around it. YouTube videos galore on this kind of stuff. So just be a student. The first thing I kind of want to touch on is the concept of on-site search engine optimization versus off-site search engine optimization. That's two big buckets, and both Google uses to determine how to rank your page. So we'll talk about on-site and off-site, but before we do that, let's move up the chain a little bit. I'm gonna focus on Google's algorithm. Vast majority of the searches that happen on the planet happen through Google. Yes, Yahoo and Bing still exist, and there are a handful of others, dark web type search engines, but for the vast majority of the world, it's Google. That's where you're gonna find the majority of your leads. And if you're ranking well there, chances are you're ranking very well in those other areas too. So we're gonna focus on the algorithm. Google has spent tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in treasure and horsepower and resources and manpower to do one thing: develop AI, deep understanding and machine learning, so that they can understand if a page answers a user's inquiry. That's it. That's the goal. And so over the years, that algorithm has done different things. It's analyzed keywords on the page. It's taken a look at what's linked to your page and whether or not what your keywords are trying to hit are relevant to the links that are backlinking to your site and to your page. It's digesting your content. It's figuring out if your images are loading fast, if it looks good on a mobile device versus looking good on a desktop. And what does good mean to a machine? Like, how do they determine that stuff? You have to come to this realization that through all that, and all the tricks that you can use, keyword stuffing and bolding and headers and tagging and meta descriptions, all of that really comes down to Google trying to understand whether finding a carpet cleaner in Houston, the content that it delivers what the user wants. And that's very important. You can create content that looked good to the algorithm 10 years ago. And in most cases, it didn't even have to be that user-friendly. They could read it and go, oh, okay, whatever, and then bounce around. Most people didn't even read that kind of content. But the keyword density and how you place stuff was enough to make Google think that it was an important page. So that's the on-site search engine optimization point, right? The ability of you to manipulate your page, put stuff on your page, design your page, the images on your page, the words and copy on your page, and the information that's hidden from you as a browser user of the internet. If you look at the page source at the top of the page, you'll see some things that are referenced meta, keyword, title, meta description, that kind of thing. And you can stuff things in there that are signals to Google to rank in this area, geolocate, all that kind of keyword density stuff, right? The body itself, stuff that you can control, the hidden things on the page, stuff that you can control, the image and its compression, stuff you can control. That's the on-site optimization. Google's gonna look at that from the empathetic view of a user. And that's what the whole algorithm and development team and the deep learning stuff is trying to do. When a user comes there, do they get their question answered or their product or service that they're looking for? And so having that understanding gives you this innate ability to create content that talks to the user. And we're going through this now. We're readdressing our content to make sure when a customer who is looking for pressure washing software, they land there, they know that we're talking to pressure washers, they know we have a relationship with pressure washers, they know that, we're hooked up with SendGym and that pressure washers use us because we have reviews from pressure washing companies. There's backlinks, and this is the offsite SEO part. There's links to maybe pressure washing bulletin boards, and not just ads, but those pressure washing bulletin boards are treated well by Google and they're associated with pressure washing, and us having a link to them establishes us as a credible pressure washing vendor. You see what I'm saying here? It's really just more than a couple things you can do on your page. It is a holistic approach towards backlinks and what you can say and what you present to the user and the speed at which you do it, that matters. So Google goes through a handful of things. It looks at user behavior. So you've heard about bounce rate, which is how long someone stays on your page or your site before they leave. That's not always bad. Having a high bounce rate, maybe you answered their question. How to get wine out of carpet. If you have an article or a blog on your page and it delivers it and it solves their problem, and they read through it, they skim, oh, okay. And then they bounce out and then they go do other things, Google's gonna give you a thumbs up for that. But if they are on your page for 2 seconds, they bounce out and they click the next thing on the link, Google's maybe gonna say, hey, maybe this one answered the question and you didn't, right? So they're gonna reverse that listing. So it all goes into this big machine that then tries to understand empathy. Did it address the user's concern? So when you're looking at your web pages and your landing pages, and you're looking at those pages through the eyes of a customer, does it solve the question that I would ask to actually get to the page in the first place? That landing page effect. Really look at it like, is it the conversations that you're having on the phone on your page? Or is it just a handful of pretty words and phrases with some keywords thrown in there to try to rank high? Right? So this is the kind of stuff that you can look at even if you're not writing the copy. I'm not necessarily saying that you should right-click on the page and say view source and look at the meta, but look at the page through the eyes of a user and understand that's how Google is desperately trying to do as well. Now the off-site SEO stuff is a little trickier, right? Establishing credible relationships and links with other people is not easy. You have to call them and talk to them and maybe exchange links. And you can do it with vendors, but does that help your local SEO? I mean, it may help establish you as a carpet cleaner, but carpet cleaning in Houston? Maybe that's a bad example, but you get where I'm coming from, right? Houston on the mind. So off-site SEO really is a strategy. Now there's a ways that you can go pay for ranking sites to put your link on there and then you'll have a backlink, but ultimately Google's gonna kind of figure this stuff out. This is what we call gray hat SEO. There's kind of 3 levels, right? You've got white hat SEO, which says, I'm gonna stick to the Google best practices. I'm gonna do what I know is in the best interest of the client, both short-term and long-term, and I'm not gonna do anything that could be looked at as shady. So buying backlinks is one of those gray hat areas if you're buying them for yourselves. If you're buying them for your competitors to list on a site that's then linked to bad behaving in bad neighborhoods that Google is then gonna not like, and as a result, downgrade your search engine optimization, that's black hat. Obviously, don't do that. Don't do anything like that, because if that ever came around, then they'll just deny your site existence, and that'll be pretty bad. So on-site, off-site, right? Some basic stuff there, and certainly you can target keywords, and we can talk about meta description, but I'm not gonna go that deep. I don't think you guys are gonna be mucking around in the code. You're gonna get somebody else to do it, or you're gonna work with a platform like WordPress. If you use a platform, again, always be consuming that page to the eyes of your client. Did it solve my problem? Did it answer my question? And obviously the question is, I have a problem. I need my carpets cleaned in that area. Do you solve that problem? Pay attention. Things change very quickly. You'll win if you can put yourself in the mindset of what Google's trying to accomplish and stay there. You'll have a problem if you're trying to use the current algorithm's state to drive high ranks, because they change it all the time. It means different things. They try different things, and they spend so much money on it, so much time on it, it's ridiculous. I understand where they're going with it, and obviously I'm leveraging long game, right? I would encourage you to do that as well if you're doing your own content creation. And so just paying attention, things move quickly, it's just a good idea. You can also pay attention to your backlinks, right? Making sure that those aren't questionable. Make sure a competitor isn't trying to nick you negatively. A couple tools you can use. So if you go look for a Google Search Console, you'll find that Google has a free tool where you can claim your property, which is your website, and get all kinds of information about it. You can look at your site map, which is something all websites should have, that tells Google what all the pages on your site look like. Also a robot.txt file, and that just allows or disallows robots to crawl your site or certain subsections within your site. And then there's ranking tools and page speed tools. There's rating tools, all kinds of stuff. So look for that Google Search Console, bring that up, and then process your site through every single link in their submenu. You'll find some interesting stuff. We did this recently with ours, and just by one example, Google looks at how your page looks both on a mobile device and on a desktop, and it analyzes that. It looks at compression and image speed, and size, and all that fun stuff. It gives you a rating. And we came in at like just under 80 out of 100. And I spent a few hours yesterday just compressing a few images and minimizing some of our files, and got it to 95 out of 100, which is I was pretty excited about. Obviously now, Google's, that's just one little, is it gonna really jump my ranking? No, and I understand that. But what it is gonna do is it's just that much better of a site from Google's point of view. The quality of the site goes up, and thereby, if I'm doing that in many places through backlinks, on-site optimization, and then using Google's tools to make sure it likes everything, that's going to give me a much better chance long-term. And just out of coincidence, I looked up a competitor and it was 14 out of 100. I was blown away. It's such a short-term game plan. It's obvious they're playing gray hat and black hat, and it just blows me away. So obviously I'm watching for the other shoe to drop in that arena, but for the most part, I'm just playing my game, making sure my SEO is strong, making sure my backlinking is where it needs to be, and making sure that Google, through all of its tools, likes the site. There's a handful of tools for free as well that you can play with. They usually have some sort of a free and then a premium service. So you'll use the free one, you may get one site and it'll only do a handful of reports, and then you pay 20 bucks a month or 30 bucks a month to basically have this powerhouse that does all these analytics for you on your site. Now, most of that's gonna be on-site SEO. They'll report the backlinks as Google does in the Search Console, which is why I'm directing you to that again, right? Use that to study your backlinks and figure out who's linking to your site. And if they're bad actors, you need to disavow them, or at least contact them and say, get my site off of your page. I don't want it there. A couple of tools there that you should probably be using even if you are hiring out. Now let's talk about bringing in an SEO vendor. There are two flavors I found, and unfortunately the, not bad actor, but the other business model is predominant. If you have a technician, a technical resource, a geek, a coder, yeah, not inexpensive, right? But it's an hourly wage. You pay him 100 bucks an hour, 150 bucks an hour, and that's, for a really decent web developer. And they understand some SEO, but if you have a solid understanding of it, then you can help direct them, and together you should be able to produce a pretty strong product. Once it's paid for, it's done, right? So, and then you may have maintenance, you throw, a few hours here and there. That represents maybe 10% of the web development and SEO companies that exist. The other 90% are about sales. They don't see themselves as a technology company. They see themselves as a lead generator. They want to say, we built your site, or we put your site together, and we got your rankings up to whatever they are. It really doesn't matter, right? First position, fourth position, first page, whatever they're proud about. And then old traffic, as a result of that, now is somehow their grand design, and the leads coming through that are then turned into work are proof positive that you should be paying them a shitload of money every month. Needless to say, I'm not a fan of this second model. There are reputable companies and good people who play in this model because a lot of their competitors do, and it means high dollars. It's not that difficult to find a company who doesn't know jack crap about SEO, that has deep pockets, that's willing to pay well to rank in the top 3 or 4, and fill your hours with working on SEO. So again, not a fan, and while there may be some good people in there, the rates are kind of all over the map, and they have this MLM crowd where they'll get attached to a guru for training and events and sponsorships and mentorships and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, our leader makes $1 million a month providing SEO services. Really? That's amazing to me, because I can get a coder to do SEO services with a good VP of marketing and not spend nearly that. So I have a problem when the vendor's income is related to how much you make as opposed to how much value they bring into the company. So I'm not gonna bag too much on them. I guess I already have a little bit, but they need to eat too, I get it. And a lot of these guys are good guys. I just have a problem weeding them out. I just went through an exercise here in Bellingham where I talked to like 6 different SEO providers. I wanted them to be local. I wanted to sit down with them, shake their hand, look in their eye, and make sure that they were individual that I can work with. 3 of them, the phone, it was just off the phone, right? Just knowing that, even one dude even said, well, how much money do you guys make? Knowing that he was going to price his services based off what my answer to his question was, which I found ridiculous. So 3 of them just didn't go. The other 3 I talked to, and all 3 companies were nice companies, good people wanting to do good work, right? So I'm not going to say anything negative about the individuals, but their business models were just all very that MLM style. You're gonna pay me $4,800 a month for 3 keywords, and I'm gonna do it for you. And at the end of the day, none of them called back. They realized I might be a bit of a nightmare client, I think, because I know too much. They prey upon the fact that you guys don't know what the hell is going on, and that $4,800 is them toiling day in and day out to make that shit happen when it's really 5 to 10 hours a month of work. So there it is. Know what you're getting into. If you can find a technologist over a lead generator, that's a good idea. And I'm still looking for the one where, the bulletin boards and the Facebook groups will be like, this dude is awesome. And there's a couple people in there that seem like they're making some headway, but I'm certainly haven't heard enough to make any recommendations. And I'm not going to be using any SEO locally here as well either. We've already improved our ranking. We've moved from 8 to 5 in less than 2 weeks. So we're just going to keep chipping away, playing our long game, and keep the knowledge in-house. I'm probably going to bring in an SEO person and have them do the Google courses and so forth. And I think that's a good idea, having that in-house once you reach a certain point, because certainly they're asking you to pay them enough money to cover an employee. 3 points I want to make just real quick. Number 1, have a fundamental understanding of search engine optimization. It's important that you understand this so that you can talk intelligently to the people that are doing it for you. Number 2, pay attention. Stuff is changing all the time. Go incognito mode on Google Chrome and search for your keywords and see what comes up. Then click around and check out where your rankings are. Go to the Google Search Console on a regular basis and see what they're reporting. They'll leave you messages if something looks wonky, if they downgrade you bad, if there's a bad actor. They'll sometimes leave you messages on that stuff, but I want you to look through it on a regular basis as well. And number 3, make sure your SEO vendor is at least a decent person. Till next time, guys, thank you so much for your attention. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, go check out the demo, and give us a call.